Did we just lose somebody on the screen? Bob's gone.
More is coming in right now.
Okay. And I think we just lost Bob too.
Okay, I'm calling Phil, so see what.
Oh, Bob's coming back. Okay. In the event that Phil is not coming, which as of right now, it looks like we need one person to take minutes for the meeting.
I can do that.
Thank you, Maura.
I just found you.
Were you using the other agenda Zoom link?
No, I was using the updated one, but I couldn't get on, and then I got on.
Oh no.
Okay.
There's a because there was a wrong agenda link on it. Yeah.
So Maura's going to go ahead and do minutes. If Phil chimes in, he can take over if you want. But it looks like you could probably see everybody that's here, as well as Orville's on the phone.
I'll tell him.
Barb, Ron, Orville, Bob, and Amy, and myself.
Phil's coming.
Okay, thank you.
I'm off the hook then, huh?
You're off the hook.
I'll tell you, it'll take him a few minutes to get here.
Okay. We'll at least have roll call done, so we'll be able to let him skip over that part. So has everyone had an opportunity to review the agenda, the updated agenda, which was sent on Monday, as well as the meeting minutes? And are there any changes, additions, deletions that we need to make to those minutes? If not, then we just need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thanks, Ron, and we need a second.
Second.
Thanks, Amy. So all in favor, let's do a hand raise so we can see each other. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, there it is. Okay. Orville?
Okay. Aye.
Okay. So that is passed. Let's see. And announcements? Do we have any announcements?
Not at this point for me.
Okay. And as far as I know, there's no presentations. There were none noted on the agenda. We have nothing. Okay. And is there anyone in the waiting room, or do you have any emails for public comment, Andrew?
I have nothing.
Okay. Well, that was easy. So we'll go ahead and move on to the director's report. Let's see. Okay. Is there anything in particular you want to share, Andrew?
Not really. Yeah, everything's pretty straightforward based on the director's report.
Are there any comments on the director's report from the committee? Okay. I have a question regarding the rule sign information kiosk, Andrew. I know that the current state of events, I believe, is what postponed the informational kiosk and rule signs from being put up this year. Does it look like that's going to happen in spring, right?
Yes, it's dependent on park ordinances passing, the specific ones to Presque Park. So the no smoking ordinance did pass for all city parks. Now that is passed, I have 3 policies that I'm taking to the commission, hopefully within the next 3 to 4 months. One of them being a wedding policy. Another one is update to the special event policy. And then the third is all of these specific Presque Park policies. So I'm working with the attorney still on a lot of this. We were trying to bring like a bulk package of all these policies at once, but I think we're going to spread them out now. So the timeline for the kiosks and the signs are going to be the spring upon or once everything has been approved by the commission.
Okay.
Yeah, so we just want to make sure that everything goes through first and that we have all the verbiage correct and that everything's enforceable with Michigan state law.
So I guess the question I have is, as we move forward with that, so specifically the park rule sign that we're planning to install hopefully this spring, part of that discussion was that once that sign went up, we would be able to remove a lot of the signs throughout the park. And I'm
Yep.
wondering if we have some sort of inventory or list made by the city of which signs will come down, and if we could see that at the next meeting.
I don't have a list of, I just have a list of all the signs that are out there. And one of our goals is to have a uniform sign throughout the park, which essentially would eliminate majority of the signs. So it's not quite clear how many we would replace at this point. I kind of placed that on Public Works and I haven't quite got a clear answer just because there's a lot of signs out there.
But some of
Beyond,
those will come down, right? Like
yeah,
they'll just come
yep,
down and not even be replaced.
yep, we'll take signs and
Okay.
post down, so.
Okay. Okay. That was the only question / comment I had about the director's report, and it doesn't sound like. Orville, do you have any questions or comments on the director's report?
I do not.
Okay. So, new business. Let's see. So the first thing is the 2021 meeting calendar. Everyone has a copy of that. There's 2 pages. I don't know if you can see that. One looks like that, and the other one is the memorandum from the city clerk's office. And it looks like as far as these documents go, we're staying with the second Wednesdays of the month, no July meeting. And I guess the only question I have is, or comment I have on the memorandum, it states that the meeting location is Citizens Forum. Are we leaving it that way? Well, even though we're not meeting at the Citizens Forum for the foreseeable future?
Yeah, it's hard to say really because everything's so fluid still. It's hard to say with what's going to happen this time, even come January or even this time next year. So we're just leaving everything as is with the understanding that everything's just fluid right now and it could change.
Fair enough. Ron, I know you had a question or a comment about the calendar.
Yeah. Past history, but I think any advisory committee can set its own meeting dates and schedules or the number of times per year. Is that correct? I mean, does it have to be every month?
Not necessarily. It's dependent upon business,
Right.
and what the staff brings to the committee for advising on policy, or
Well,
what needs to be gone or be taken to the commission.
Well,
so that's one. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ron.
No, finish up. I'm sorry.
So one of the things that we try to do with all of these is that we try to look at committees as it's the public's voice and a way to get people, the community of Marquette, that we're trying to get their opinion and voice in on anything that we're advising on. And with the ever-changing environment in Marquette, there's usually something that needs to go on the agenda for every given month. So what we like to do is, by at least having a monthly meeting that allows us to spread the business out, and then that way we don't have one meeting with a lot of business. And if there is really nothing that needs to go, then usually that meeting's just canceled due to a lack of agenda. In my previous experience with some of my meetings, especially with like Harbor Advisory Committee, there hasn't been a lot for their agenda, so a lot of their meetings were canceled. But then there was also times where we couldn't get quorum for 3 or 4 months, and then we ended up having a 3-hour meeting. In the past, Pipac has also had some very long meetings just because of some of the previous issues. And when you kind of stretch out the intervals in between meetings, it's when things get kind of hairy, and it makes it very difficult for members for attending, and it kind of hurts membership sometimes. People get burnt out.
Okay, yeah, I just wondered because, for example, at least for the time I've been on IPAC, I don't remember canceling a meeting. I don't know how far in advance, because of the public notice it takes to say, hey, we don't have anything going this month. Let's not meet. I don't know how that. But otherwise, I would think, would it make more sense if we got, pretty much every other month, some of those winter months? Like, just to give you an example, maybe we can January, March, And then starting in May, because things are really going hot and heavy a lot of times in the summer, more incidents, more things going on. Meet most of those summer months, then again, come back with then in November. So we have like 8 meetings during the course of the year rather than 11. Month we don't have one is in July.
Hey, Ron,
yeah.
Can I stop you for a second? It seems
Sure.
when you turn your head to look
I'm sorry.
to the right, we can't hear you.
I was looking at my stuff here.
Yeah, when you turn to look at that, the audio goes away.
Let me put it right in front of me like this. Can you hear me now?
Perfect.
So
Perfect.
I was thinking, maybe having for 8 months, basically an 8-month amount of times that we would meet 8 times a year, and like January, March, May, then meet the summer, May, June, maybe even July, August, September, no meeting in October, a meeting in November. So sort of every other month and during that winter time period. I don't know what other people think about that, or if that would not be doable. I don't know. So just a thought of changing things up. And I don't know if that would make a difference. I think we're a few folks down trying to get people on the committees. I don't know, maybe if we're not meeting 12 times a year, or 11, maybe 8, maybe people would say, yeah, I can make that. I don't know if that would make a difference or not either for some of this. So
those are valid points, and that's one of the reasons why there's no meeting in July, is mostly because everyone's on vacation. Sometimes it's very difficult to get quorum. A lot of the bulk of our problems we try to solve in the off season in the winter. Sometimes that can be handled pretty easily January, February, March. Sometimes we still have snow on the ground until June. So it's really hard to say what the committee's feeling, how that would affect membership in the future. November, December are kind of hard months because everyone's kind of got holidays on the brain or vacations, and some people are just really not even in town. We had a lot of problems with membership on other committees where we technically had snowbirds, where they weren't in town for the winter months and they weren't making enough meetings. So that's something to consider for the committee if they want to go that route. But generally in November, like the meeting calendar, that's business that we need to have confirmed before December, but that could just require more planning on our part and have that done in September or October.
What is the city and the Parks and Rec department, what is their opinion on that? As the liaison, as the spokesperson, Andrew, what?
My thought, honestly, I would keep the second Wednesdays throughout the year, keep it consistent, so that way everyone just kind of knows that Pipac's going to be happening. Otherwise, if there's a lack of agenda or a lack of members being able to attend, if I can get the agenda out early enough, or even get kind of a roll call for the next meeting at like the current meeting, and get an understanding that, maybe this next month's meeting isn't going to work out. There really isn't much on the agenda. We'll just cancel it. I have no problem doing that either. That might make it easier for members. But I see where Ron's coming from, though. If a new member or a potential new member were to look at the meeting calendar and see that there's not a meeting every single month, it might be a little bit more easier for them to commit to. And I can always call a special meeting if need be. If there's something that absolutely needs to be done and it's December and there's no meeting scheduled, I can email the committee and say, hey, would you guys mind meeting on the second Wednesday, like our usual time for this one issue?
Anyone else have any thoughts or comments on this?
I'm still sort of looking for a role. I enjoy reviewing what's going on, and the island is important in my life, but I'm still sort of looking for how I can serve the committee. So I'll keep thinking about it.
I also see where Ron is coming from. Personally, I like the consistency of having a meeting scheduled every month. I think for me, I would rather have the meeting scheduled and canceled if it's not necessary, rather than a special meeting called and then trying to arrange their schedules around it. I feel like this makes it a little easier logistically. And also the opportunity it presents to community members to make public comment if they need to. But ultimately what we need here is, I believe, is a motion, and the motion is either to accept the calendar as it is, or to change the calendar, or to not accept the calendar. So I think we just need a motion with, is that correct, Andrew?
Yeah, if you guys want to make a proposal to change it, we could just delete a date, or we could keep it the same. Just a motion for whatever at this point.
Yeah, I guess I just brought it up because, you know, we've never really discussed this, I guess, as a group. And, you know, I didn't know if others felt the same or not. And I'm not strong feelings one way or the other on it, but maybe the thing to do is to keep the schedule as is. And then like Tara says, just, you know, maybe if there's no need for a meeting, then it gets called. I just didn't know how soon you have to do that in order to satisfy the public, you know, requirement of meeting notices. So is that, I guess, up to Andrew then to let us know, and along with the chair on how that's decided? If, let's say, we decide not to meet in January or February or whatever, how does that happen?
Well, again, I think that's more on me, depending on what kind of business is on the agenda for a given month, or if we send out an email and we determine that there won't be a quorum, you know, and frankly too, sometimes even personal things come up and we just can't have a meeting. I try very hard not to do that, but there's been many occasions where I've come to meetings sick. That won't be happening anymore. There's many occasions too where, you know, it just might not be the best evening to do it, and you know, things can wait another month. So it's really just up to the liaison on that call, and I usually confer with the chair or vice chair at the time, usually a week prior to the meeting, to see if it's necessary to have a meeting or not.
Personally, I don't think a monthly meeting is very overwhelming. It sort of keeps my mind, you know, active along committee lines, and so I don't see it as a problem.
So I guess, anyone else have comments or questions? I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to accept the 2021 meeting calendar as stated.
Second.
Okay, thank you. And all in favor, raise your hand. Orville?
I'll give you an eye on it.
Okay, thank
Yes.
you. Thank you, Orville. So we have a unanimous approval on the 2021 meeting calendar. I guess the next thing on the new business is the nominations and elections for committee positions. We have currently 2 openings on the, is that correct, Andrew? 2 openings. Yep. On the Presque Isle Park Advisory Committee. But within the 9 members that we have, we need a chair, vice chair, and a secretary. So I guess we start by asking our current secretary if he's willing to continue being the secretary. I think we have you're muted, Phil.
Yeah,
maybe that's a hint.
I thought when I pressed the space bar, that would take me off mute, but it didn't work that time.
Doesn't work for me either.
Yeah. Yeah, I can keep doing it. I just can't remember when my last year is. It seems like I've been on the committee forever, which is okay, but there may be a date coming up when I'll term out. I'm just not sure when that is.
Oh, I think Andrew looks like he went to go look for something.
You would need to re-up in April, Phil, and you can serve another term.
Okay. I'll do it through April at least, and then we'll revisit.
Okay. So, Andrew, do I need to do motions for each?
Yes,
position?
so we'll need to have approval of each position.
Each one individually, or they can't be? Okay, so I move to have Phil continue as secretary.
I'll second.
Thank you, Maura. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, and I heard Orville, so we have a unanimous approval on that. Thank you, Phil. Appreciate it. So we haven't had a vice chair in quite a while. And we need one. The vice chair's responsibility would be to basically do what I'm doing if I'm not here, assuming I continue on as the chair of this committee. And so I guess first of all, is there anybody here, obviously aside from Phil, that is willing to do that and would be interested in having that position? We have to have somebody, so.
I'd be willing to do that or run for it against whoever
Run
wants
for
to.
it?
Yeah.
Is there anybody else dying for that opportunity?
And I'll contest the results.
Oh boy. Okay, I see no hands and I don't hear anybody else, so I guess I make a motion to have Barb act as the vice chair of the Presque Isle Park Advisory Committee. And we need somebody other than Barb to second that motion.
I'll second.
I'll second.
Well, thank you, Maura, and Orville. Thank you, Orville. So all in favor of Barb being the vice chair, raise your hands, please. And Orville, we'll listen for your acknowledgement.
Aye.
Okay, perfect. Do I just do this again for myself?
Yep.
Okay. Does anybody want to be the chair? You all recall this position wasn't exactly handed to me the way it normally would be. Hey, I think I fell into it.
I make a motion that Tara remain as chair.
I'll second that.
Orville.
So all in favor, raise your hands.
Aye.
Bob, did I see your hand go up? All opposed? Oh, okay. Just checking. So it looked like we had affirmative from everybody. I'm happy to continue doing it. Thanks, guys. I appreciate your faith in me.
You're doing such a fine job.
Yes.
Oh, thank you, Orville. You're so kind.
It's the only reason I was willing to be vice chair.
Because I rarely miss, hey? So yeah, we have 2 vacancies on the roster, and I guess at this point I would just, we don't have anybody out there, Andrew, that submitted an application or anything pending?
No, I followed up with Sean in city manager's office prior to, because we have some vacancies in other committees that we need to fill, and we have not received anything. We've received some, but all of them were ineligible.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so I would just encourage all of you to do some recruiting. At least maybe send an email or a text or a phone call out to at least one person that you think would be a good fit. And maybe if we all do that, we can get 2 members by the next meeting. That would be great. Okay, the next thing on new business. Large vehicle traffic. Yes.
Yeah.
I heard it. Is there more?
I think we're losing some connectivity here.
Gotcha.
I can hear very little of anything, so.
Yeah, I see Bob's kind of freezing up a little bit here.
Okay. Is there another way? So how does Orville do it? Is he calling a phone number?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can hear us, Bob, but is that phone number, Andrew, on the agenda?
Yeah, it's on the...
I can hear you.
Okay. Well, if you can hear us, then that should be fine.
Did you have any comments that we missed, Bob?
Okay.
Uh-oh.
I can hear you, but
we heard that, but it definitely sounds like your audio is coming and going, and
yeah,
your screen is freezing.
Hey, Bob, why don't you try turning off your video? That might actually help with your bandwidth.
I'm going to type into the chat box.
While he's doing that, that's the question I was going to ask. Are typed comments acceptable?
Oh, that's much better.
I don't know, Amy, but I was about to. But Bob, you're still there, right?
Maybe.
Actually, the turning video off didn't make a difference.
It's working right now.
Heard that, but Bob, there is a chat box on the Zoom screen. So if you aren't able to be heard, you might want to type in a question or a comment. Is that acceptable, Andrew?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, thumbs up. We got a thumbs up. Okay, so we're going to move on to large vehicle traffic signage. Andrew, why don't you go ahead and get us started on that?
Yeah, so we've had some comments come in from the public in regard to the busy summer traffic that we've had in around the pavilion primarily. Well, actually pretty much just around the pavilion, because everywhere else is pretty easy to navigate and turn around. But we've had some large vehicles like buses, RVs, trucks with large camper trailers, basically pull into the pavilion area, and it's too small for them to turn around. And it's very difficult when you have nonstop traffic coming out from Peter White Drive. It's basically a trap for these people, and there's no warning, especially at the mouth of the park. So I've kind of conferred a little bit with what common practices are with Public Works and their signage, and dealing with like MDOT or similar instances around the state where some parks that have like a tight turning area where large vehicles can't get in or out. Essentially what is done is there's a sign that's put up that says caution, no turnaround, and they would have a designated parking area for these vehicles. That was kind of something that John and I have talked, John, my director, has talked about on occasion, that limiting the large vehicle traffic on the island is something that we'd want to pursue in the future, just because of the nature of the congestion that's already happening. But if we had a place for people to park, and also to warn them that pulling into the pavilion area, there's no way to turn around, it would essentially eliminate that problem. So some of our thoughts were, we need a way to warn people before they're heading out that direction. And we need a way that if they see that sign, there's a way for them to then turn around, which would be like the Moosewood parking lot at that point, and a place to park. So I just kind of wondering what the committee's thoughts are on A, signage, and B, establishing like a parking area kind of across from the marina, where we have some of our overflow parking, or maybe even in the Moosewood parking lot.
So is the idea to not to ban certain size vehicles, but to warn them prior to entering?
Yes.
Basically the fork. Okay. And it's already been designated that parking area would be across from the marina, so Moosewood parking, and we feel like there's enough space for that to occur there?
Yeah, there's a couple of parking spots kind of by the Shira's pool, but also with the Moosewood parking lot, it's a nice big circular type drive. It would work out pretty well. So our thoughts were, so beyond the one-way parking lot that comes from the breakwall loop, there's the ice cream pavilions and the ice cream store. If there was a sign kind of close to there, that's kind of like the point of no return, basically. If someone were to enter that area, they would have one option to turn around before getting stuck at the pavilion, and that is the Moosewood parking lot. So we're thinking about a sign kind of off to the side of that parking lot. I'm looking at a map right now, so it's
I'm just pulling up an aerial view right now too.
Yeah.
I feel like, and maybe I'm getting this wrong, but I feel like that spot you're talking about, where they would make a left into the far driveway of Moosewood, I feel like that is pretty narrow, that driveway.
Yeah, there's a couple of park ballards there, and a couple of trees in the way. I still think that a large vehicle, even with a short turning radius, would still be able to get in there, especially if they were skilled enough to pull in there. It's just a matter of making sure that it's catching their attention and telling them that, hey, there's no exit beyond this point and there's no way to turn around. So it's really the most important thing is the location of that sign and the ability to direct them a certain way. So we thought the Moosewood parking lot obviously is going to be kind of the last option for them to be able to turn around. It's just where do we send them to park? And I'm not sure if anyone can have Google Maps open or some type of map open, but there's that large parking lot area kind of by the Bog Walk entrance. If they were to pull through to the Moosewood Center and pull through the parking lot, they could easily park there and then walk to wherever they need to go. It's just a matter of approving some kind of signage and where that should go.
So what specifically you're looking for then is just a motion to approve signage, to recommend
Yeah,
signage?
essentially it'd be a motion of support for the city to mitigate issues with large vehicles not being able to turn around at Presque Isle. Or I don't think that has really a specific name of the road there by the Presque Isle Pavilion. I mean, essentially it's a one-way type zone and there's really no way for a large vehicle to turn around. So
probably the hardest thing would be to identify or put words on the type of vehicles that aren't allowed. That's probably the tricky part.
yeah, we'd probably say something about a length.
Length, okay.
Yeah.
So all we'll be doing is supporting the city figuring out how to do that.
Right.
Yeah, supporting plans for mitigation of large vehicle turnaround hazards. Yes, it's hard. I don't know really how to put it into technical terms.
Okay.
I'll make a motion. Are you going to make a motion? Go.
No, I was just going to ask if anyone else had any comments or questions before we did that, but.
Before we do, I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense. I was out there today looking around, and the only other place, and maybe and who knows, sometimes people ignore signs or miss signs. If they did go down that road where it, dead ends into the one way, I mean, prior to that, just by where the Superior Watershed Partnership offices are, there is a drive in just before the office, and then there's actually another one just after. I don't know if there's enough area there for a large vehicle, maybe before they get to the end of that road, where they could turn around there. That was the only other place I saw that a vehicle might have an opportunity to turn around without getting physically trapped by other vehicles. Is that anyone else have thoughts on that?
So that was one of the areas that was identified where the vehicles that were getting stuck had to go. They either had to back their way down into that drive, or they had to pull into that drive and then somehow get people to help them to stop traffic to back out and then turn around and leave.
Right.
And then there was also another instance where a guy with a truck and a camper trailer pulled down there and then got stuck in the sand. So it's kind of you could technically use that place. It's been done before, but that's kind of like the point of you're beyond that point of no return already. You're causing a traffic jam.
I wonder if the best place to park would be just that marina parking lot, unless, you're certain that there would be no issues with Moosewood. The fact that Moosewood isn't paved, and there sounds like there are some limitations with pulling a large vehicle in there. I just wonder if it would be more clear. It might depend on where other signage is too, right? Like, I think if the signage, that's the most important thing. It needs to be very clear. And maybe, would you go as far as to say no vehicles of this size, however that's worded in MDOT terms, past this point? Or could that be a reasonable solution? I think from working working with the public, what I've learned is if the message is too complicated or if there are too many words, it won't be read.
Yeah. So that was another thing was, so somewhere along Peter White Drive, when you're pulling in, entering the park, just beyond the boat launch parking lot, we would have some kind of identification sign saying large vehicles park here with an arrow pointing in at that first entrance to the left. And then beyond that would be the no turnaround sign kind of by the ice cream store. And we would have another directional sign possibly at that entrance to Moosewood on the left again saying large vehicles, please use this route. And then we'd have a sign in the parking lot for large vehicle parking. So we're talking about a lot of signs. And I told them, I told Public Works, if we can do this with the least amount of signs possible, that would be what we want to pursue. So yeah, I agree that we have to have a clear and concise message. And that might need to be done through multiple signs. But I think it wouldn't be an issue with the Moosewood parking lot. It isn't paved, but it is for the most part somewhat well drained, and it would be able to handle larger vehicles better than the sand area by Superior Watershed.
And we don't have jurisdiction, for lack of a better word, over what happens in that marina parking lot, correct? That's
No,
part of the harbor.
Yeah, it's just generally overflow for boat launch, and that does fill up significantly in the summertime, but not so much that I think it would impede RVs and large trucks or whatever that's pulling in their buses that they couldn't park as well in that area.
If our concern is the number of signs, which, you know, we obviously do have concerns about that for other issues as well. I mean, could we have a sign, just an initial sign that would be put up? I don't have the map in front of me, but that wetland area where we're talking about parking these large vehicles, you know, where it goes into the wetlands, just a sign there and tell these, very simple, this is where you need to park if you have these vehicles of such a size. See if that solves the problem. If it doesn't, then maybe put in a second sign that has the turnaround farther down by where Moosewood is, you know, but only that sign is if we're still having issues. People are ignoring or don't see that third sign. It's a possibility. Start small and work on other signs if we need to.
I would have to say I like that idea because we've already discussed at prior meetings more than once limiting the large vehicle traffic around Peter White Library or Peter White Drive anyway. So just saying that and saying vehicles over this length need to park here would mitigate both the problem with the turnaround and the large vehicles that we've all seen try to pass through Peter White Drive.
So maybe it's just a simple sign that just says caution, no turnarounds ahead, large vehicle parking this way, and just have one sign right across from the public restrooms by the boat launch. And that would lead to that first parking lot entrance where people could park. And if people disregard that sign and don't get the message and they get stuck there, then that's what happens. They learn their lesson.
Right.
Yeah, I was just along those lines. I just can't remember where our discussion was going on any large vehicles making the drive around. Do we still have any issues with that? And I'm thinking if we still have some issues with large vehicles on Peter White Drive at any point, then maybe this is the time to deal with that.
Yeah.
And maybe they're all directed to park over there with one sign that says any vehicles longer than this, just don't go. It seems like it gets confusing, and I can see us wanting to keep access on the road to people and vehicles, but I can see problems where if it's okay for large vehicles to drive around, then it could get confusing saying, but if you're going to go this way and want to turn around, you can't really do that. So you have to go this way. If you want to go the other way, you can drive all the way around. You know, I don't know, because I don't have a large vehicle. I've never dealt with that problem. So it'd be nice if we could just do one action that solved all of our issues with it.
When you say large
Think
vehicle,
about it. Go ahead, Bob.
How about a truck pulling a large trailer? Is that a large vehicle?
Yes.
So it's not just large vehicles, it's also vehicles pulling trailers or boats?
Yeah.
Certain length.
So any vehicle or trailer vehicle combo that are in excess of a certain length would be confined to parking in a certain area. The only issue that we might run into kind of came up when we were talking about like the walking hour change, and we initially proposed about limiting certain size vehicles around the road. So there were some people who commented about MarkTran frequently sends buses around the island there. And what that usually is that there's actually people who are disabled who can use MarkTran services to then go around the island. So if we did limit large vehicles in that capacity, it would potentially limit access for those with handicaps that could not traverse the island or use the road.
But what is the length of those buses? Those buses aren't very big, especially the ones that are used for that purpose, like the door-to-door.
Yeah, I'm not really sure on that. I have to double check.
I'm picturing the that horseshoe drive over by the breakwater, and I think when that's pretty full, that is also a difficult parking lot for a large vehicle, even though it's a circle or an oval. So I guess I'm inclined to agree that we, you know, nip it in the bud right at the beginning, but I guess ultimately the city isn't looking for us to tell them or specifically recommend how we want it handled. It's more just the city's looking for us to support
approve a plan
their plans
to do this, but at the same time, your comments tonight have been invaluable to the point where I can now say we just want one sign, and it's going to be caution, sharp turns, and no turnarounds. Large vehicles, please park here, instead of a multitude of signs. And I think that a big problem was solved tonight, and that was why it was brought to this committee.
So we can have a motion that basically says we support this with the hopes that we can minimize the signage.
Yep.
And just put it out there that way, and then the city, you know, Public Works will do whatever they decide to do, knowing that they have our support one way or another.
Yeah.
Okay. Barb, I think you were getting ready to make a motion. Okay.
I'll gladly make a motion that we put one sign in, and that we limit the additional signs to, I think maybe just right now, we'll just put the motion that we put in one sign.
Well, I think we need a motion to support the city's attempt to mitigate vehicle issues. I think that's specifically what they're looking for, and then we can make an additional recommendation as part of that motion that be accomplished with one sign.
Okay. That sounds like a good motion.
Okay. All right, I'll do it. I make a motion that we support the Parks and Rec City's plan to mitigate large vehicle parking and turnaround issues, with an additional recommendation that it is accomplished through one or as few signs as possible. Good? Okay, so we need a second.
I'll second it then.
Thank you, Ron. All in favor, hands please.
Aye.
Okay, we have a unanimous approval of the motion, so the motion passes. Awesome. And then on old business, I see that it says membership, which I accidentally already talked about during new business and elections. So I'll just reiterate that we need 2 new members to fill out our roster. So if you guys could take this opportunity over the next few weeks to try to recruit a friend or two, somebody that you feel would be a good fit for this particular committee, direct them to the city's website where they can complete the necessary form to fill the vacancies. It's not a huge time commitment. We meet once a month except for July's. And, you know, occasionally we have meetings at the park like we did last month, which was wonderful. And those weren't required, those were optional. So 11 times a year is really the requirement. And sometimes the meetings get canceled. So do your best. Yes, Phil.
Just a comment that since I joined the meeting late, if anyone took notes prior to when you started talking about the meeting calendar and you could send those notes to me, I'll put them in the minutes.
Okay.
I can do that, Phil.
Thank you.
I'll do that. Up till what? When did you join?
I joined when you were already in discussion of the meeting calendar, but I think I have the notes okay on that.
Okay.
I'll send you what I have so far.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for helping, Laura. Okay, so do we have any committee member comments? We'll just go, you know what, I'll go around my screen and call out on you. And so we'll start with Maura.
Nothing today.
Okay, Bob?
No comment.
Phil? Okay, Barb?
No comment.
Ron?
Comment.
Amy?
No comment.
Orville?
No comment.
Wow. I'm gonna stay on track with that and also say I have no comment today. So I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting, 6:24.
Second.
Barb second, okay. I'm gonna assume everyone